Good afternoon, theology students, and welcome to, I guess I should call it Vandenberg Virtual Theology, even though it's a math channel. It's good to talk to you, even though I can't see you, and by the time you hear this, I'll be long gone, so it's awkward. But bear with me. I'll try to keep the lesson straightforward. But it's an important lesson, and of course, part of the importance is the fact that this is Holy Week. So happy Holy Thursday to each of you. And the title of today's lesson is Paschal Mystery and Passover. Oops, sorry. And you can write these in your notebook as I write them on the whiteboard. Two central events. Of course, these are two central events for their respective religions. Sorry, it's harder to write with stylus. I apologize for my messy handwriting, but the title is Paschal Mystery and Passover, two central events. Of course, the Passover is the central event for the Jewish religion, and we've talked about that many times. By the way, today, which for Christians is Holy Thursday, on which we commemorate the Last Supper, Christians do, the Last Supper of Jesus and his apostles. But it's also the first day of Passover, which is for Jews just as important as Easter is for Christians. And let's compare them because there are parallels. Passover, the Passover celebration is a commemoration of, as I said before, the central event in Jewish history, which was the Exodus from Egypt. So let's write down the elements. And by the way, this is the Old Covenant. This is all from the Old Testament. So this is the central element of the Old Covenant, God and human beings. So the Passover frees from slavery in Egypt. Both events, by the way, involve a freedom from slavery. As we saw last fall when we looked at the Exodus, the Israelites were enslaved in Egypt, and through the miraculous intervention of God and through the instrument of Moses, they became free in the Promised Land. That's the end result of the Exodus. The means through which they were able to escape the angel of death and ultimately the slavery in Egypt was the miracle of the Exodus, which the Israelites were enabled to share in because of the blood of the Lamb. The blood of the Lamb on the doorposts is how they were able to escape the death of the 10th plague into the freedom, ultimately the freedom in the Promised Land. It took them a while to get there. So it was a process, but it was the beginning of the process, and the blood was what enabled them to escape the shadow of death, the angel of death. Okay, let's look at the Paschal mystery, which I haven't referred to much yet. The Paschal mystery, which is a fancier way of saying the passion, death, and resurrection of Christ. Trying to make my handwriting a little bit legible here. I miss you guys, by the way. And as I said, it's awkward just talking to a screen of Jesus Christ. That's the Paschal mystery. And of course, the Paschal mystery is the central event of the New Covenant, which is why it's written about in the New Testament. Remembering that the word covenant and testament are synonyms of each other. Okay, I'll pause to let the slow riders catch up for a little bit, and then I will clear the screen. Actually, you guys can just sort of pause the video, can't you? So I think I'm just going to clear the screen. And we're almost there. Paschal mystery and Passover. Let's clear the screen. There we are. Clear all drawings. Good. So just as the Passover was how the Jewish people became free to go to the promised land, Christians also see the Paschal mystery as a type of freeing from slavery also. Except the Paschal mystery sees us human beings enslaved to sin and one of its consequences, death. So human beings are all under the curse of being sinners, and ultimately we will all die. But we are saved from that fate, and the freedom that Christians hope to enjoy, the freedom with freedom. Let me just write it a different way. Hang on a second. Let me just erase for a second here. Where's the eraser? There it is. Freedom. Good. Sorry about that. Freedom of life with God in heaven, the afterlife. The means by which we make this transition, in other words, the means by which we are saved, is not the blood of the Lamb on the doorpost, but the blood and suffering of Christ, ultimately the death, and the resurrection, because without the resurrection, it would stop at death. But because of the fact that Christ resurrected, this death is not final, but leads to that freedom of life with God in heaven. So there's the parallel. As you can see, I've been trying to identify parallels between the Old Testament and the New Testament at times. This is the central event in Christianity, which is a parallel to the central event in Judaism. And that's the end of the lesson. Smiley face. It's good to talk to you, even though don't get to see you. Hopefully after Easter break, we'll be able to do some sort of a Zoom thing so you guys could ask me questions, or I'm not sure how that would look at this point, but I want you to have a great Easter with your families, or whatever religious traditions or customs you celebrate during this time. And happy Passover to any of you Jewish folks. But have a good break. I'm glad you're getting a break off from school. I know I need one. This virtual stuff is not easy for me. Like I said, I find it very awkward. But anyway, hope to see you soon. Talk to you later. Bye now.